What's up, movie goers and true believers? It's the Real Comics Podcast. I'm your host, VooDoo57, and with me, as always, is my good friend SpeedyG33. What's up, bud?
What's happening? How we doing tonight?
Doing great, man. Locked in. We are back. What do you think?
I don't know. What do I think? There's been a lot of action, a lot of trailers, a lot of stories, a lot of rumors, lots to talk about. Little things.
Right, for sure. But as always, if you're joining us for the first time, before we get going with our podcast for the evening, we always start with news. And then for this evening, we're going to get into, it's been trailer madness on the internet. Everybody trying to push their product out before summer hits big time, just to get their name out there, just to get heard, just to get seen, all that fun stuff. So we've got a lot to discuss tonight. So let's get it started with a little news. Hey, Speedy G, what do you got for us first?
Oh, let's see. There's been a lot of little news tidbits. One thing that I liked is there's been some pictures of Iron Fist filming, which have been pretty cool. I like the look. Have you seen him? He looks like he should be wandering around San Francisco on Haight Street down there.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I like it. I think we're going to get a little bit of that kind of nomad thing where he went off to become Iron Fist, but we're going to catch him as he's already returned and maybe do some flashbacks on his training. I think that's the way they're going to go just because budget, I bet. They probably won't go on location. So we won't get similar to, I guess, Doctor Strange where they're on location. It's a similar kind of storyline. They're going to go. He's going to go to Tibetan monks and learn things. For fans that aren't familiar, think of Batman Begins. Nolan totally ripped off Doctor Strange on that, about him going on his little sabbatical and growing the beard.
With the League, before he meets up with the League of Shadows, like when he's purposefully in prison or he's dealing with people of a certain religion. Got it. Very cool. Exciting. What else is on the
great character? I mean, a lot of great actors. Look at it.
Yeah.
Another was it from Game of Thrones or was it Lord of the Rings? Oh, I can't remember now. But they've cast a lot of good actors, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Cool. I'm definitely stoked. We need to finish up our Marvel run there with Daredevil. But I'm definitely looking forward to the next series that they're going to put out. And Iron Fist is definitely going to be high on my list for must see TV. At least Netflix. What else you got on the docket over there for yourself?
Let's see. What else happened today? We had news that I can't remember the actress's name right now from Game of Thrones. She's not going to come back to Terminator. Emilia Clarke. She won't be returning to Terminator. So she realized that was a dead horse and she got out.
Yeah. Let's hope that franchise is dead, at least for the time being.
I'd like to see someone good get a hold of it. I mean, I think there's stories to be told.
Right.
I don't know what I was watching. Oh, I know what I was watching. I was watching Jedi Council, Collider's Jedi Council, and they had Freddie Prinze Jr. on there, and he was talking how his friends when they were young used to talk about, wouldn't it be cool to have like movies about the different places in the United States, like Terminator Las Vegas, and then just go over a war, and you don't have to necessarily have the Connors involved and all that stuff, just have kind of a kind of the way Star Wars is doing. You don't have to have a family to tell the story.
Somebody could have survived and somebody could be starting their own version of a rebellion, and
exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Totally get that. That would be cool. Yeah, definitely that one's probably in my wheelhouse, but like I said, the last couple have been so poor. I kind of like to see it kind of die down a little bit before we get back into it.
Connor story, and they're still trying to do Schwartz.
Well, they're still trying to keep that guy around, and I don't see it necessary.
Yeah, I agree.
Very cool. Hey, so I want to bring up a quick news item. It's my biggie for the day, being the in-house Star Wars nerd, freak, and sort of geek. There is a huge push by a bunch of fans towards Lucasfilm to put back the expanded universe. It's starting with a giant billboard that's up. And it asks that they please put back the expanded universe. And from what I gather, reading this article, they are now going to start that old famous petition to get Lucasfilm and the people that write the books and all that stuff to get on board and bring it back somehow through Disney. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, I'm a big fan of that EU. I have games, I have books, I have graphic novels, I have everything. You know, I have shelves full of this stuff. But even though I was upset when it all happened, after seeing Force Awakens, I understand why they can't do it. And I'm going to compare it to the comic book movies. The comic book movies, everyone gets so upset about the fact that the new Batman or the new Spider-Man is not like the comic book. So if you bring the extended U back in and they don't follow it to the book, then the Star Wars fans are going to start up with that nonsense. And then it ties the hands of the directors that just want to tell some good stories. So
right,
it needs to be left out. It made sense to get rid of it. There is too much. I mean, think about how many years worth of stuff, and we're not talking just a few things. We're talking novels, lots of novels. You know,
in my opinion, I think they could have, or let's say I wouldn't go as far as saying should have, but they could have, and they have, and they're going to in the future. We know this. They're going to touch on all the different universes that are already created in some form or fashion. Okay, we know we might get somebody from even the Clone War series in one of the future movies. Okay, I don't know why they just couldn't keep the expanded universe and work their way around this story as well. You know what I mean? Hold true to a couple of them. But I mean, don't get me wrong, from a business standpoint, you're right. It does make sense. It's so deep, and it's got its own mythology. Yeah.
No one's satisfied. Like you say, okay, well, maybe we'll throw Mara Jade in. No, that's not going to satisfy them. Then they're going to want another character, and they're going to want another character, and they're going to want another character. And when you talk about major characters, let's talk, say, about the Solo children, for example. There's not 1, 2, 3 books. There's like a couple dozen novels. So we want to talk about a character fleshed out already.
Right.
You've tied the hands of a director who goes, well, I kind of want to tell this story. Well, that's not what the book was. And, you know, you see it. You hear about it with the comics. Everyone getting all upset. The Harry Potters, whatever. You know, there's always that debate, you know, book versus movie. I think Star Wars did the smart thing, is just saying, no, we're just going to back away. And again, I told you when it happened, I was kind of one of those people that was pissed. I like a lot of those stories, but we got to let it go. If we want good movies, we got to let it go and look at it as something different.
No, I agree. I'm ready to move on. The movie came out, but I get what they're trying to push. I mean, heck, a few months ago there was even an article of people trying to bring back Star Wars Galaxies, the original video game. So, you know, you can't. It's time to move on. It's time to move on. Yeah, I know. I think you and I spent quite a bit of time in that video game. More than we probably should have.
I was thinking about that game the other day because it kind of gave me a microcosm of what Star Wars kind of has to be sometimes. And I worry. This is why I worry about Rogue One, because I've already heard the comments like, I didn't see any lightsabers. Okay. And
right.
There's not going to be lightsabers. And do you remember when we played that game? When the game used to be awesome, and then so many people whined and moaned and bitched that they had everybody could have Jedis.
Yeah, we took 2 years trying to become Jedis on our server.
That's when the whole game went to shit, when anybody could become a Jedi. And it was kind of, they caved into that mentality that we just want lightsabers. And I do worry with like a Rogue One movie that there is that one small segment of the fandom that is just, well, there's no lightsabers, and so I don't like it. This sucks. I can't accept a new story. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I totally agree with you. And I think when we hit trailers, we're going to get into that a little bit more. So, hey, what do you got next for news on the big board there?
Let's see. What else we have? Oh, staying along with like since Game of Thrones is coming up, Macy Williams has kind of talked herself into a little corner and got the rumors flowing again that she might be playing Wolfsbane in the New Mutants movie. I think she'd be I think it'd be a really good job. It'd be a coup to get her. sounds.
Can you talk about the character?
I know a little bit about her.
I don't know anything.
Time in comics that I didn't read as much of the X-Men per se, but she basically is like a werewolf type character. You know, she can turn into like a werewolf, and that's her power.
That's pretty cool.
She's Irish. It's an interesting character in that sense, and she's going to come with the accent. She's small. So you need a smaller person to play that mutant. I think it's a good idea. She's young enough, and she brings some name recognition, you know, to the role to help with to sell the movie itself.
Right.
But it's a rumor, man. There's so many rumors, you know. Like there was the X-23 rumor, which I'm not buying. It sounds weak. I think somebody kind of really speculated and everybody ran with it.
Right. Well, I mean, you were saying it earlier. Talk to us about how, you know, this week, you know, you and I are sitting here trying to sift through the news to find out what we could bring to everybody for this week's podcast before we get into the trailers. And everything just seems to be based on speculation. A lot of the good, hard news is just not there.
A lot of speculation. And it's not speculation from the places that you can say, okay, I'll give that a shot. Like, let's say Heroic Hollywood, you know, they're good. They speculate. They don't always hit, but they hit a lot. So when you hear their speculation, you can kind of, well, I'm going to run with that as a possibility. I mean, but some of these, you know, and then you read the article and you try to track it back to the source, and there's nothing really there. It's just somebody, you know, the X-23 rumor is based on that there's a casting call for a Hispanic, Asian-looking 20-something-year-old girl that's about 5-something. So now the speculation is that it must be X-23 that's coming out in the new Wolverine movie. And that's all they have. And if you think of it logically from a story point, I don't know if that's a good idea to put X-23 in that movie. That's not really the character you'd probably want there. But, you know, who knows?
Who knows? It could. We'll have to wait and see. Again, it's tough to bring news to the forefront when it's all kind of speculation and rumor, but we're doing our best. All right, I'm gonna talk about something that's been going on for about the past week, and we've talked about it in the past. So I want to bring it up for news. I don't want to beat a dead horse, you know, again. But let's talk a little bit about the whitewashing of Hollywood. I'm reading an article here. I read it a little earlier. People were bitching about the Ghost in the Shell character played by Scarlett Johansson and how she's not Asian. But today an article came out from the people that helped make the anime and I believe the comic as well. I'm not quite sure. I didn't get to that part. And they're a little bit, they've been showing. I think she's great. Now, the guy who created the character hasn't said anything yet. He's kept his mouth shut he's been mum. But everybody else so far is loving what they've been shown. What do you think about this coming up again?
You know, the other thing we didn't talk about before that came out after the Rogue One trailer, which is in the same vein, is
I know where you're going.
The Mary Sue thing. Okay,
right.
These were the two big things that constantly come up in the social outrage that follows. You know, oh my God, they're forcing a female character on us again in Star Wars. Oh, and then there's the whole rant and rave about female characters. Okay, then you know, right after that we get the, you know, we're just coming off the Iron Fist thing where they didn't cast an Asian. Oh my God, the Scarlett Johansson thing. You know, she's not Asian and stuff. I don't think people understand Hollywood very well, and there's an artistic vision and there's a money vision. And the people who put the money up to make these movies are straight up businessmen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is an investment. They want a return on their money. Okay. So let's talk about actresses that can carry a movie. There may be 5. In all of Hollywood, there may be 5 actresses that can open a movie. Now let's take it down to an action movie. It's even less. And can you honestly name an A-list Asian actress? I mean, to me, Lucy Liu was the last one. She was the last real A-list that could be in a movie and her name could get that movie known. There isn't an A-list. Asian actors. So you're trying to sell a concept, a movie that's already going to be kind of difficult to sell to an American audience in the first place. We know as
Yeah,
anime,
for sure.
we know anime is different. Anime's it's a special thing. So they have to get the return on their money. So this movie doesn't get made without a Scarlett Johansson. Okay, they've attacked her. They've attacked the wrong people.
Right.
You know, we have to look inward. It's our culture. Our culture is not willing to accept these other people yet. We're not willing to accept an Asian actress leading all our movies, it seems like, as a general culture. If you really want that to happen, when they come out, you need to support those movies. When a black actress leads a movie, you need to support that movie. When a Hispanic actress leads that movie, you need to, I don't care if it's in your genre. If you want Hollywood to change, Hollywood is straight up dollar signs, bottom line, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just a frustrating thing. And I understand people like, well, it's not going to change unless we complain. Well, it is. Complaining isn't going to be enough.
No, I agree with you. I think that what's come about here real quickly, and I'm not going to go dwell into this too long, is that, you know, we get so fixated on everything having to be perfect when it comes from our comics and when it comes from our cartoons or wherever they're grabbing material nowadays. It's got to be dead on and spot on, okay? And now we're just overlooking the story. Who cares if it's any good as long as we've got who we think should be there? Do you know what I mean? But they're not being realistic about the content that has to go into it. So it's just something I think people are just going to have to get over. I'm sure the movie will come out, and then we can make a judgment from there. It's time to move on from this whitewashing thing.
Two comments on what you said.
Yeah.
Okay, one, first of all, social media is ruining movies. You know, we all enjoy it because we get to share in the moment, and you get to enjoy it with someone, you know, a bigger group than your peers. So that part's fun. But this knee-jerk instant reaction to a casting, whoever's been cast in a role, when you have no idea whatsoever what story is being told, what the vision, and why this character was cast. You can't understand if that actor is right for the role because you don't really know what the hell the role is. The director knows the role, the casting people know the role, the writers know the role, but we don't know the role, and we have these crazy reactions about everything, every little minutia.
Right.
They cast. And that's my first thing. And then my second thing, you talk about, you know, how we just, you know, we ruin it by expecting. The other thing we can ruin it by is forcing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's okay when we put a person of color, and I'm a person of color, first of all, before anyone comes back like
as am I.
When we put a person of color in a different role, no one bats an eye, even though if it doesn't make sense. And I'm going to give you one. Denzel Washington in The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
The odds of a black cowboy at that time are very slim. And before anyone starts raining me with bullshit, it's my father's degree and specialty in Western history, and I'm very steeped in it. And the Buffalo Soldiers were few and far between. There wasn't a lot of them. So depending on the story they tell, they are kind of reaching. Now, the Mexican actor and the Native American actor, that makes a little more sense.
Right.
But you can't force either. It's just, I don't know. People are starting to turn this thing upside on its head, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the political correctness that's really starting to take over a lot, and that's a whole other political story I don't think we should get into, but it's out there, and hopefully, you know, we will learn to get over it and let the finished product speak for itself when it finally comes out. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, cool. What else you got?
That's about it. I mean, there's nothing else big that I can.
Yeah, I didn't have too much. I did, you know, just a couple of quick mentions. We know that J.K. Simmons and William Dafoe are in talks for the Justice League, and then on the other,
for sure,
J.K.'s in. Okay, I thought so. It's William Dafoe that's in talks. Yeah, and then on the other side of the Marvel universe, there, I know that Michael Keaton is in talks to play the villain in the Spider-Man standalone movie. What do you think about these acquisitions to these universes?
So Batman is joining the Spider-Man movie.
Right.
And J.
Jonah Jameson
and the Green Goblin are joining the
Justice League. Yeah. I was wondering if you were going to pick up on that.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. I mean, they're great actors. I hope. Well, Gordon is obviously a bigger role, but I don't know what Defoe's going to do. So I don't know how much of meat he's going to get. He may be kind of like Holly Hunter. She, just a little role. They're good actors, and whether people want to like it or not, these good actors want to be in these movies because these are the movies to be in now.
Right, I would agree. So. Totally. Cool. Well, hopefully those roles prove to be something that we look forward to seeing. I can tell you that much because we need more movies. We need some more great characters out there, and we need them portrayed in a great way to keep this role that we're on for a bit as far as comic book movies and the genre going, for sure.
Just the action in general.
Yep, for sure. All right, man. Are you ready to move forward with trailers? All right, everybody. So we're going to get to the meat of our podcast this evening. There have been quite a few trailers that have come out and hit the web. We're going to discuss them openly, so be forewarned if you're not interested in being spoiled or you've avoided these trailers because there's a particular movie you want to see or something like that. We are full in spoilers starting right now. We're going to talk about what we've seen, what we like, what we don't like about each one, and get into what we can. And we're also going to have a couple of just quick mentions because there's a couple of trailers that they're less than a teaser. Even one movie only has actually just a photo, but I believe they're worthy of discussing. So Speedy G, why don't you go ahead and give us our very first movie trailer to discuss and your thoughts.
I say we're going to talk about Rogue One first, just because it's the one that came out the furthest from now. So and just kind of more on the timeline. We did a quick reaction to it. We obviously liked it. If you've seen that, still like it. That's how you do a trailer, to be honest. I want to see that movie. I mean, that's the trick. I want to see that movie. I want to know more about the main character. She looked exciting. I want to know who Donnie Yen is. I want to know these things. I mean, that's what you want. And then the tease that there could be someone more ominous there in the darkness.
Yeah, go ahead and say it, man. We're like I said, if you haven't seen it by now, then that is your deal. I mean, please feel free to stop now, come back and check us out after you've seen it. But yes, that probably was my key moment. I had my good friends, and I said it that day over at the Movie Bears podcast, asking me for my thoughts and what I found most interesting. And it was that moment. There was a scene with a cloaked figure bending in front of what we are to assume at this point is a Bacta tank, and we've got two red Royal Imperial Guards. And that can only mean that a few certain people can be in that room, because if you know your Star Wars lore like I know it, the Royal Red Imperial Guards are only for the top of the top. Basically, the Emperor. And I'm not saying that's who this is. They're only there to protect him and him alone, the highest level of the Empire there. And so we still don't know who is involved in that room. And yes, I need more. I definitely need more. I need more of this group. The AT-ATs, the AT-ATs, walking along the tropical shore was just a killer shot. I'm totally stoked for this one, man. Totally stoked for this one.
It looks very good. And I'm excited because it's what I want. If we're going to do these Star Wars movies that are not the Skywalker family, as we talked about,
right?
This is the way I want them done. I want the focus to be on something that isn't Skywalker centric. You know what I mean? Yes, we understand it's going to connect it in the very end and maybe the beginning, loosely to a mission based on things we know of lore.
Right.
It's its own story with its own characters, and more than likely, none of these guys are going to be in another story after this. So this truly is like a one shot, because isn't it kind of like said in New Hope that these guys don't make it? You know,
I wouldn't say that. Well, it was said that. Well, I don't know that these
died.
Exactly. The line goes, many Bothans died to bring us this information. But I don't think that's mission specific. From the Star Wars nerd, you're hearing it from the Star Wars nerd's mouth. I think that might have been a transfer point between maybe whatever material was gleaned from the mission we're about to see. And something else I want to say real quick. From the beginning, I heard a lot of people griping about how these movies weren't just Star Wars and then a title. They're called Star Wars. It'll be Rogue One, it'll be Star Wars, or I keep messing it up. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And I actually like that. It separates itself from everything else. And I've come to really embrace that. So I don't know what your thoughts have ever been on it, but I actually quite like it.
It doesn't matter to me. And I think, but you do need to designate in some way that it's not the major story. Because the major story, I do agree the major story should be about Skywalker family. That is the major story. But these side stories need to be something else. And if you want to succeed, and we want to see Star Wars movies into the future that aren't, okay, now let's do a story on teenage Princess Leia. Let's do a story on teenage Han Solo. Let's find out what Chewbacca's childhood was like. If you want to get different stories, then you need to have a good, successful story that doesn't rely on those characters. And that to me is the key. I want a bounty hunter story that has nothing to do with them, say, looking for Han Solo or have Boba Fett. It doesn't need to have that. It can be another cool bounty hunter story. There's a lot they could do. They could do more like, you remember that early Clone Wars cartoon that doesn't even have any audio, and it's about those clone troopers, and they're just on a mission, and they're just signaling each other? How about
that? Was one of my favorite episodes. That was one of my favorite episodes of the cartoon version of the Clone Wars episodes, done by the artist who used to do Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack. You're speaking of the one that just covered of clone troopers that I believe one of them actually was Commander Rex with the double pistols. And they came in on a cruiser, they landed, and it was all about their mission, and everything was done with hand signals. There was music, but nobody was talking, and it was freaking awesome. That was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, you can't obviously do a whole movie up with no talking, but something that just has to do with stormtroopers would be nice. And especially now, like, I'm curious, there was a book I know, and I haven't read it yet, but I want to know more about how the troopers are created now that they're not clones. I want to know more about that. And maybe
I think that's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, but you could do a side movie that also gives us more, because they're not going to really be able to put too much depth into what's coming on that, because they have to focus on the main story. Yes, we'll get a backstory on Finn, but I'd like to get a nice story about how that's done now.
I think also, just as a recommendation, and I don't want to spoil anybody on this, even you, if you watch the Star Wars Rebels, there's a little taste of how that might have happened, because I happened to see an episode or two that kind of ties into what you're talking about, and I won't say much more than that.
But isn't Rebels before New Hope?
You know what? It's about the time that it sparks, but you can kind of see. It's like, again, I'm treading on spoiler territory here, and I don't want to spoil anything for someone who hasn't seen the Star Wars Rebels. You can kind of see how how the Academy works. I'll put it to you that way.
Okay.
How's that?
That'll work.
How the Imperial Academy works. That's what I'll say, and we'll leave it at there. And if you kind of get the inner workings of that, I think we may get some of that of where, what we've seen in Force Awakens. That's why I say it's interesting how they've touched on a few things in the other mediums that, while maybe not be.
I've read the first book of Aftermath. I haven't read the second yet, and it talks about the ones that are going to basically officer school.
There you go.
So that was a really interesting book.
Yeah, because there are certain tests and things that they're looking for and looking at, and I don't want to get too much into it. So, very cool. Rogue One trailer. Yes, I think we're giving that 2 thumbs up, and we are anxiously awaiting that one. All right. What do you think we should do next? Shoot.
Let's see. How about Suicide Squad?
Let's do Suicide Squad. Maybe a little early, but that's okay. I'd say we do it. You know what? Suicide Squad. The original teaser got me. The first trailer got me. And this second trailer sold me. How's that? There's more Jared Leto as the Joker. We get to see these guys kind of, speaking and interacting with each other a bit more. It needs to be now. This August bullshit of having to wait for that movie to come out really has me frustrated.
I get that.
And I guess the reason I want to see it so bad is because I've kind of been, not necessarily only in Europe, I've kind of been painted as a non-DC person. But this movie clearly has me wanting a good story and a great cast of characters, and that's what I wanted from some other movie that shall not be mentioned tonight, and I didn't get. And that's why I want this really bad. Go ahead. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've told you that's why it is my #1 most anticipated movie of this year. I believe Ayers tells a great story, and it'll be deep like what the other guy tried to do, but I think it'll be more cohesive. And yeah, I mean, God, it looks good. And the only little gripe, and I've told you, and it's just a personal gripe, is I'm not a big Will Smith fan. Okay. And that scene with him and Diablo, man, where he's like trying to get Diablo to go flame crazy. I mean, and then at the end, he's like, "Oh, I was just trying to get you." I'm telling you, to me, I was like, I was watching Bad Boys, and he was sitting there with Martin Lawrence and trying to get him to say, "Now that's how you drive, or that's how you shoot."
Right.
He has those scenes with him, and I was like, "Oh man."
See, and you know what? This is normally I don't have a problem with Will Smith, but I'm going to agree with you here because I have another comparison. Okay, I thought the same thing in the earlier trailer where they show Will Smith smoking a cigar. And what does he say? I think he says, "Let's go save the world," right?
Yeah.
Same exact thing he did in Independence Day after he knocked out the alien that he made crash land. Or what he told his pilot buddy before they left, played by Harry Connick Jr. in that movie. He's done these before, but I'm overlooking it, man. I'm over it. I'm overlooking it. There's just too much there for me to really want to grab onto and love.
Minor gripe. But other than that, it looks really good. Yeah, very, very little negative. Of course, there was some negative that came out after it. As people start going off, as like, you realize that the Native American guy and the Asian girl, they're probably all going to die. I'm like, well, yeah, it's called the Suicide Squad. You guys, there's going to be a lot of people that die.
There will be collateral damage in this movie, as well as
Common sense tells you it isn't going to be Will Smith and Margot Robbie. I mean, that's regardless of who they're playing. They're the names in this movie, without a doubt. So it's not going to be that.
Well, that's people not using their movie brain. You know what I mean? That's just a general movie brain.
That goes back to that other thing we talked about. People get a little crazy about, oh, you're just killing all the Asians, or you're just killing all the.
Right.
That's what the story calls for. It's called Suicide Squad.
Got it. Very cool.
A lot of fun.
All right. Next trailer we're going to talk about. I say we talk about this movie that I'm curious about, but I'm not sure how to take quite yet. And that's going to be World of Warcraft. I've seen all of their trailers. Initially, I am excited as a former World of Warcraft player and sometimes dabble back in and out of seeing these worlds come to life. The armor, even the armor that the horses and the other animals in this thing carry, the places that are in the maps and all that stuff really excite me. But I'm still just kind of unsure how they're going to portray it on screen and how the public is going to take this as a movie. What are your thoughts on this last trailer?
Man, I've gone back and forth on this movie.
Yep.
And not the newest trailer, but the trailer that was before this one, I just saw in front of Jungle Book. So I saw it in IMAX. I saw the trailer. And I was very underwhelmed. That was the first time I'd seen it, and I was kind of like, this really does not look that good. I mean, it looked exciting to me at first because, like you said, I played WoW. Kind of looked good to see all the things from WoW. Then I started getting a little more of where they're doing with the acting and the story, and I just kept thinking those bad Dungeons and Dragons movies. You know what I mean? There were some
those were some bad movies for sure.
And then this new one, again, it's kind of like not quite sure. And I look at who they cast, and I'm like, whoa, how did Dominic, what's his name, get in this one? You know, the guy who's playing Preacher and his wife. They're both in this one too.
And Father Stark. Let's not forget.
Yeah. Well, Father Stark. Yeah, he belongs in these kind of movies.
Right.
It's you know me. The two biggest influences in what I enjoy and what I like for me are comics and Lord of the Rings. So WoW to me was always something I gravitated to as a video game because it was an extension of Lord of the Rings to me. I don't know. I just don't know if the story's going to be there with it. And
no, I agree with you. I'm back and forth. So like I said, the first one came out. I'm like, okay, cool. And then the second one came out, and I'm like, okay, kind of better. It was all action. There was very little talking. And then this one came out, and then they got he's a mage, maybe?
yeah,
I'm going to assume.
Then that's where I said it started looking like Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly.
Kind of goofy, and like he was comic relief, and I was like, oh no.
Not even Dungeons and Dragons. Do you remember Krull? Remember the magic user from Krull? Yeah, it's just
Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if you recall. One of the Wayans brothers was in that.
Yes, I remember.
So that's what I kind of thought of instantly. Like, this guy's kind of like the goofy comic relief guy. And I'm like, oh no. I mean, I'm okay with some comedy. Maybe make a gnome, man. Make something interesting, you know.
A gnome. Well, there was a quick shot of the dwarves for the first time. Did you see that?
I did see that.
I'm very curious if they're going to use some of the voice characterizations from the video game. Oh, you know what? I think there's going to be that stuff. They might be hiding that as a surprise. Yeah. That's what's got me on the curious side of that.
I think I'm going to end up seeing it just because.
Yeah, me too.
Unless, I mean, it really gets panned. Unless it's like Pixels level knocked out, you know.
I think that's going to have to be one of our podcasts. We'll give a quick review, and if not, I'll review it. I'll take the bullet if it looks like it's going to be a downer, but we'll definitely have to check it out. All right, what else do you want to serve up there for our next trailer?
We have the Ninja Turtles.
All right, Ninja Turtles. Cool.
I really like this trailer. This was the trailer I've been waiting for because this was Turtles. There was a lot of Turtles. There was Bebop. There was Rocksteady. There was a lot more of them and a lot less of, the human characters.
Exactly, and I remember saying that when this first trailer came out, at least on my end. Okay, now I hated this most recent Ninja Turtle movie. I think I got about 20 minutes into it on cable, and I went click. Really? But when I saw the very first trailer with them in their I don't even know what it's called, the Turtle Mobile, and they're playing Run DMC's Tricky, and you can see it says Tortuga on the side of the trailer. That kind of made me laugh. And then, of course, Bebop, Rocksteady, and Shredder. This is what I want to see. And as a bonus, we're going to get, for Arrow fans, we're going to get a little bit of Casey Jones. So what did you think about this portion and those characters being added to the list? Do you think it's too much?
No, I think it's awesome because if you're going to do a Ninja Turtle movie, go for it. It's the attitude they took with Deadpool. That's the way you have to come in to something like, to me, the Ninja Turtles. Just go for it. If it sounds outrageous, so what? Just go for it. Make Rocksteady, make Bebop, do those things. I want to see Krang. I want to see that thing floating around and all that.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be.
I really want it to be full on comic. I want it to be full on comic / 80s cartoon that we saw, and just go for it and not worry so much about reality. Take it into that genre of this. You know what? This is a fantasy. This isn't real, because nothing about this is real anyway. They're talking turtles.
I completely agree. Like I said, I find it very strange that I do want to see this movie that bad. I think it might be fun.
They have the Bay moments, and they get
right. Those shots, those scenes, the explosions, the turning in slow motion, and special effects. I get it. I know what you're talking about. Those Bay scenes. That's what we should start calling them, just Bay scenes. But I did want to point out, I think they've gotten smarter, or at least maybe even a better writer, because Michelangelo actually seems funnier than he was in the first one. I mean, there's even just the one scene when he's got Casey Jones and April Summers right there. I think that's her damn name. And he goes, "Hey, are you two like a thing?" There's just an attitude and a swagger that I wanted when I saw that 20 minutes of movie the first time, and I never saw really. So now maybe it's
like Deadpool.
Yeah,
that's what I want. I want some of that Deadpool cockiness. I mean, we're
right.
not talking a rated R like Deadpool, but Deadpool had a certain swagger and a certain cockiness, and he's just gonna let it fly and have a good time. And that's what I want the Turtles to be, a PG version of Deadpool. I just want them to let it fly and be goofy. I want to look across at my kid, and I want her to be giggling away. That's what I want from the movie.
A good time, a popcorn movie is what I would rate this one. This isn't like a please, knock down the wall, see it first night opening, type of movie, but definitely popcorn weekend movie for me. That's for sure. Very cool. So, hey, before we get into it, probably in the next week or so, should we talk about the Civil War trailer, the most recent one released, and a little bit of footage came along with that. What do you think?
The kind of peak they gave on the MTV Awards.
Yeah, and then there was a secondary trailer that came out. It's considered an international trailer.
Oh, yeah. I saw that today, and I'm like, don't click it, don't click it, don't click it. Click. Because it said that it was going to show Barramondo, and I clicked, but it didn't show him in uniform.
No, it didn't.
So
no.
I was like, all right, but I could have really spoiled something. I just can't not click it. We're at that point where it's just gluttonous. There's too much Civil War, you want to back away. You get to that point. I told you how frustrated I was with Force Awakens.
Right.
I cannot see any more Force Awakens shit. I don't want to see it. I'm not I don't want to see anymore. That's where I'm at with Civil War. And the way they did it this time to put the reviews out ahead of time is even more painful, because you have people that have seen it throwing their little opinion around, and you have the Batman Superman contingency up in an uproar, and they're going to be in an uproar for the whole month. And
see, I see this as a smart marketing move as much as it frustrates you, and I'll tell you why. Because here's what's going to happen. So these things leak out. So there is advanced ticket sales, which already can be a benefit, or if you want to see it right away, an issue. It could be something from keeping you seeing the movie right away. You could show up and the movie you want to see is sold out because it's been out for, you could buy tickets now for going on a month out. But I think that the early movie reviews by certain critics bolsters those ticket sales. So yes, this is a money grab. I totally get where you're coming from, but I also see it as a smart move and a smart marketing campaign to make this movie last a lot longer. This particular movie was my number one movie of the summer for this year, 2016, and I can't wait. And I do have to admit, I'm getting to where you are. I'm not there yet, but if they push out these little vignettes now, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to where you're at. I think after this week, I'm done with the Civil War stuff until our take on it and everything, but I'm about there.
Yeah, I'm there because it's going to just show too much. I'd rather just not know anymore. Like I told you last time, I wish I hadn't seen Spider-Man yet. I could have waited for the movie to see Spider-Man.
The Spider-Man reveal?
Yeah. Black Panther looked great. But now we're seeing more and more of who's fighting who's doing what, and I would have liked to have been surprised.
Yeah, I think the editing, though, I really took a look at this last trailer before I watched the international trailer, and we went on today. The editing is very deceiving, and I'm telling you that right now. And I'm gonna bring up one particular point. You see the Winter Soldier shooting a rifle. It's clearly a gun, but it cuts to a quick shot of War Machine being shot out of the sky, and it's not the same scene. So I'm wondering if that's just kind of getting by people. So, I think they're being very smart about it, and as many trailers as they're putting out, and I said this about The Force Awakens, we're really not getting more of the movie than we really realize. We just think we are because we're seeing so much all the time. I mean, think about back to The Force Awakens. Were we hit with a lot of trailers? Yes, we were. Every 5 minutes, every channel, every station. But they were really only certain sections of stuff we had already seen in the wrong context. So it still seemed like I didn't see a lot of that movie when I saw it. I was happy with it. Can Civil War do the same thing? I hope so. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a great movie.
I don't think we're going to be disappointed in it as a movie. Yeah, you know what I saw? The vignette that I like is the one that shows Iron Man footage and Captain America footage. So you have Iron Man building the first suit in the cave from Iron
Right.
Man 1. You have, you know, Steve becoming the super soldier. So you're
Coming out of
seeing,
the
and when you
chamber.
see that, it's why this is going to have an impact on the way that the other movie couldn't. The Batman Superman could not have because of the buildup. There's just no way that can match that. We have been seeing these characters for so many years now. So when we're finally going to see these two go at it, it's going to be very impactful. And I'm really excited for that. And yeah, I just all the battles, everyone looks good. From what I've seen, every character looks like they're going to get their due. They're going to look good. They should have a decent fight. Yeah, good stuff. Now,
I'm ready to see Black
the
Panther on
caveat,
screen.
this is not Civil War the comics, man.
Right.
And
We
people
keep
have
saying
to
that.
accept that, or you're not going to enjoy it, and you're going to be upset. Um, because there's no way they could have told that story anyway. There's just too many characters missing. There's too much. They couldn't have built
Yeah.
that all up. That was an entire universe when they did that series that had been built up for many years, so they could pull from.
Yep. Hashtag comic book nerd. Take a deep breath, guys, because this isn't going to be your book series. I'm telling you that right now.
You know, the way I take these movies, it's just something that I've always approached it is okay, a lot of people watch Flash. So let's think about Flash for a minute. You know how Flash has these, for people that are new to the genre, how he goes to the different Earths. And on the other Earth, it's a different Barry and it's a different, they're all different and they have a different life. To me, the movies are a different Earth. That's the best way for me to think of it. It's a different interpretation of these stories and how they played out. So if you accept it as a different interpretation, you'll just enjoy it. And as long as they stay true to who the character is, and then just go with it, because it's always going to be different.
Right.
Like we're going to hear Suicide Squad. Jared Leto is not going to be the same Joker because why would he be? Why would an award-winning Oscar actor say, "Okay, I'm going to try to be Heath Ledger. I'm going to try to be Jack Nicholson"?
Mhm.
No, I mean, I'm sure he's gleaned little things from them, but he wants to be Jared Leto's Joker. He wants to put his stamp on this character and be so it's a different Joker. And some people are gonna not like it. He's not the Joker. He's not the Joker. I don't know what the hell he was. No, he may not be your Joker. We all have our own interpretation of what we like.
Yeah, I mean, it started off that way for me. I have to admit, that's the way I was. I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know. And the more I've seen, the more I've been sold on that. So totally agree. Very cool. What do we have next? What's left?
I don't know. I think we. Oh no.
Oh, we got one more. I was hoping you were
One
going to
more
remember it.
teaser.
Huge
Doctor
teaser.
Strange.
Yes.
I forgot about Doctor Strange. Now that looked wicked. Wow.
That looked very cool for something that I almost know nothing about, and I'm happy to say I don't. I am super intrigued. I cannot wait. You know what? And I've been called a Cumberbatch fanboy, but I'm just saying, this looked great. What did you think?
The first time I watched it, I was just kind of like, huh? So I had to watch it a couple of times to really appreciate all the little details that they were giving me and realizing, okay, this is how they're going to represent on film all these concepts. Because in the book, they're more concepts. You know what I mean? There's some drawings and you get kind of an idea to kind of tease your mind into understanding what you're seeing. But it's more the words and use your imagination and your ability to kind of concepts. And I start thinking, well, these are some really cool things they're doing. Inception type things is the best way to think of it. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be wicked. They gave us the origin story basically up front, which is a really cool origin story, as I told you. Cool enough for Nolan to swipe, and it looks good. It looks really good, and I can't wait to see where they're going with this one.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. I know nothing, and everything I saw was amazing. Again, I'm going to bring it up, but I don't want to get too much of a discussion. We already talked about it. Again, we see the character that people are again saying whitewashing of Hollywood. It should have been an Asian character involved with our hero. and it's clearly not. And I don't care. I just don't care. I'm ready to see the movie, man. Definitely ready to see the movie.
Yeah, that one's, that one I'm in the middle with because it was an Asian character and it makes
Right.
sense for it to be an Asian character. But you know what? It's done. It's finished. They gave it to a woman. It's like you can't keep attacking each other to get what you want. Like, okay, as an Asian that I wish that I'd have got that role, I'm going to attack a woman.
Right.
I even saw with the back to the Scarlett Johansson thing. What's her name?
Ming Na Wei.
From Agents of Shield.
Agents of Shield, yeah. Ming Na Wei.
She had a tweet and kind of went after Scarlett a little bit. Johansson for taking.
Maybe she was out. Maybe she was out for the role.
And it's like, okay, I get it, but at the first and foremost, you're female actresses, and you're trying to get more roles for women as it is. So let's say Scarlett turns it down, and then they just don't make it. Instead of having a female-led role, and that's kind of this, it's a chance to put a woman in this movie, which really doesn't have a lot of women. The comic, other than his significant other, there's not a lot of women in the comic.
Yeah.
So it was a chance to put a woman in the
Totally agree. I would definitely agree. All right. So I know we're kind of winding down. I did want to mention one other thing. Again, there's no trailer for it, but there was a photo. Spider-Man Homecoming. What are your thoughts on this title and what it suggests and all that other fun stuff?
I don't know. I don't know what that suggests. That maybe he's coming home to the Avengers? That's his home? Or?
I think that was the inference originally, and that's why I was kind of hoping you could maybe even shed some. My thought as a movie fanatic is that what he's doing, the Homecoming would be him coming home after being with the Avengers. What do you think about that? Now he's a known entity, possibly, because we know we're not getting an origin story. So what if the movie took off from that point?
Yeah, I guess. It seems like it's going to be a movie about high school. I don't know.
Right. High school homecoming, parade floats and bombings and all that stuff. Hey, it could be. You never know, man. You never know. Oh, crazy. Cool. All right. There's a couple other movies that had trailers out there. They are not necessarily comic book related, but I did want to mention them. Andrew /SpeedyG33. You mentioned one earlier, The Magnificent Seven. Quick word on it, nothing more. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Say what you said earlier, man. That's why I set this one up for you. It's a softball. Go ahead.
I didn't really watch it because Magnificent Seven is like one of my most favorite revered movies in movies.
Yep.
So I'm not too thrilled about the fact that they're remaking this.
I would agree with you. I definitely agree with you.
Soften by the time it comes out, and I'll be open-minded.
Right.
But right now, I'm closed-minded and I'm grumpy because I didn't.
Yep.
I'll be honest. So I haven't really.
I am curious, but I'm not going to be first in line guy for the Magnificent Seven because much like you, it holds a special place in my heart. Those characters, you know what I mean? The classic characters. Please, people, if you've never seen the Magnificent Seven, go to your local video rental, digital, however you do it, find it, and watch the original with Yul Brynner, James Coburn, everybody else who was in it, man. Just go watch that version of it, please. You'll be glad you did, I promise you. And then, who knows what this one will bring, but right now I'm sticking with my heart in the original. The second one is we had like I don't even know if it was 5 seconds, a 5-second teaser trailer for Jason Bourne. He's back. Did you take a quick peek at this? Because there wasn't much to see. What'd you think?
Yeah, I took a peek.
Yeah. Are you glad to see him back? Are you glad to see what's his name back in action?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Yeah.
I'll probably see it because I like anything with Matt Damon. I think he's a great actor. You know, he's someone. Please, let's get this guy into a comic book movie. And from what I've heard, he goes, I already got Born. I don't need to do it. God, we need to find a role for this guy.
What? Okay, you set yourself up for this. So if you were going to cast Matt Damon in a comic book character role, what would it be?
On DC, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern.
Wow. Okay. Okay, I see it.
Marvel. He has to have weight. Who the hell would I give him on Marvel? I'm gonna have to get back to you on Marvel. I'm not sure.
I almost thought
he would have made a cool Hawkeye.
I was just gonna say that. I would have thought that he would have done a really good Hawkeye.
A cool Hawkeye, but we already have. You know, Raymer does okay. You know,
yeah, he does do a good job.
I'm gonna have to think about that. Who I would give him on Marvel.
Very cool. Well then,
Hal Jordan on DC.
An answer for another time. Is there anything that we're missing as far as trailers this week? Any kind of trailers that kind of?
You know what I thought of that we forgot about when we were talking is the Harry Potter thing.
The Harry Potter. All right.
What's it called? I don't even know the name of it.
And Fantastic Beasts. Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I am split 50-50. 50-50 curious and why. And here's why. I'm not quite sure why she did it. You know, when I remember watching the whole Harry Potter series, and for those who don't know, this is a very funny thing about me, and I've shared this with Speedy G. I refused to read the books until the movies were done. And when the movies were done, I went back and read the books, and I'm so glad that I waited because the books were amazing. So my curiosity is why she chose this time period for this movie. Because it's back, what is it, like maybe the 40s or 50s? Maybe even later? I'm not sure, and I'm kind of thrown off. But it still has the Harry Potter charm, and I am kind of curious. But I always wanted, when I watched the whole Harry Potter series, I always wanted to know what a wizarding school in the U.S. would be like the same time Harry Potter was going through his stuff. And I don't know that I'll ever get to see that. Well, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see that either. You know, I just really am not that excited for this, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe because there is no books. See, unlike you, I'm different. I read the books, and the books made me want to see the movie. You know, everyone in our family read the books. And with no books, I'm kind of lost out there. Like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know where they're going with this. As more and more emerges, I'm sure I'll get interested. This was also in front of Jungle Book for me, and there was a lot of excitement from the younger people in the audience.
From the younger kids in the audience?
Hear them, Harry Potter. You know, they were very excited. So it's going to do well. There's no doubt about it.
Right. I think that's going to be one of those. I'm going to wait and see how the reviews shake out, and I'll go from there.
No, I need to see more trailers and stuff. It's weird. It's funny how on that one I want to see trailers.
Yeah, that's true.
I want to know a little more. Where on these other ones we talked about, don't show me anything.
Gotcha. Anything else we may have forgotten in our trailers and more trailers show?
I think that's it. Yeah.
I think we're going to get bombarded with more. That's why we wanted to do this one now. So I'm kind of glad that we did. You know what? I think we're going to have some exciting stuff coming up. Are you about ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, really fast. You know, I said we're going to get bombarded more. I read a great article about how Han Solo, the new Han Solo movie, they think it's going to come out in the summer.
Right.
And that'll be the first time that the Star Wars franchise will be balancing two movies. And it's going to have to change the way they're doing things. Because their philosophy has been to get the movie out, then let you breathe, and give you that first, like they did Rogue One. Then they're going to give us another one probably at Celebration. And then, kind of go into the movie. But with two movies, they're going to have to almost be starting to pub Han Solo right as the second.
Right before we get Rogue One.
No. Of
the
Star Wars, what is it, 8? As 8 is wrapping up that winter, it's going to be that summer that Han Solo is going to come out. So they're going to have to be a little more, like you said, we're getting tons of trailers. The trailers are going to come hard and fast.
correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there a year that we had 2 Marvel movies going a year or 2 in a row?
We've had that. Marvel's good at it. Like, you know how we had Doctor Strange now.
Actually, we had Age of Ultron and Guardians of the Galaxy, did we not? Maybe I had that wrong.
We had
What was it?
War and Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Was it Civil War?
Not Civil War, because we haven't. It hasn't been out yet, dude.
Iron Man 3. No, I meant Winter Soldier.
That's it. I thought we had a couple of combos out there. We'll have to research it.
Soldier. Well, they're good at it because last year, as example, they started dropping the Ant-Man trailers around the time of Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we got the Doctor Strange trailer just as Civil War's about to come out.
Right. I like it. I like the way they're setting it up. Cool. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for Speedy G, wouldn't you say?
I would definitely say.
Very cool. I hope we've touched on everything. Speedy G, anything you want to say for our preview for next show or what we're looking at?
No, because I don't know.
I think it's kind of a special surprise. I think you guys will like it. We're going to work on that for you guys and hopefully get back to a bit more of a regular schedule. But do check in from time to time. I think we're going to start trying to put out a couple more shorts in between so that we've got a lot of content up on our channel for you. So if you're watching us for the first time, please make sure that you subscribe and please come back. Let us know what you think about our podcast in the comments. We will take all comments. We ain't a scared of good or bad comments, all right? So until next time, Speedy G, say good night.
Good night.
And I'm your host, VooDoo57. And as always, be your own hero. We'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Good night.
See you.